Prime, jewel of the Dominion, was burned into a husk. And still no human voice declared victory, no commander boasted, only silence followed the fire. The ashes of arrogance. When the fires dimmed, the Velar Dominion no longer existed. Worlds that once laughed at human grief were now graves of their own making. Fleets once swollen with pride were reduced to drifting wreckage. Survivors whispered in terror about the vengeance they had seen. Some claimed to have heard the Terran fleet's last transmission as they departed the ruins of Velara Prime. Remember Kepler. And then silence. Across the galaxy, other empires trembled. They had seen the pattern, arrogance met with annihilation. They realized a truth carved into the ashes of the Dominion. Humanity's patience was vast, but their rage was infinite. To mock human grief was to summon their fury. To harm what they loved was to call forth storms that blotted out stars. The Velar had laughed. The galaxy would never laugh again. Epilogue, whispers in the void. In the centuries that followed, the ruins of Velara Prime remained untouched. No empire dared to resettle it. No scavenger lingered long among its charred remains. It was not just a ruin, it was a warning. Travelers spoke of an echo that haunted the dead system, a phantom broadcast that sometimes emerged from the void. A voice, cold and unyielding, repeating the words that had shattered the Dominion. You laughed at our grief, now you will meet our rage. And so, among the stars, an unspoken law was etched into every council and every fleet command. Never provoke Earth. For humanity's silence is not surrender, it is the breath before the storm. And when that storm comes, it leaves only ashes. It began with laughter. Not the warm laughter of joy, but the cruel, echoing kind that predators use when they toy with prey. The Threx Dominion had come upon humanity's outer colonies, not for conquest, not for resources, not even for fear. They came for sport. The colony of Harper's Reach was small, a blue-green jewel on the edge of human expansion, filled with families, farms, and children chasing drones across wheat fields. They had no weapons, no fleets, no soldiers, only life, fragile and hopeful. The Threx warships descended without warning. Their beams cut through atmosphere like knives through silk, firestorms swallowing entire towns. Ships dropped to low orbit, raining metallic pods that split into hunting packs, machines built not for clean killing, but for entertainment. Civilians were rounded up, corralled like cattle, forced to watch their homes burn while alien commanders projected mocking translations across every channel. Humans weep so easily, your grief is delicious. Children cried, mothers begged, the aliens laughed. When it was done, Harper's Reach was ash-glassed plains, charred cities, silence broken only by the crackle of fire. The survivors, a handful, scattered, broken, were left alive deliberately, sent back toward Earth as a message. And the message was clear. You are weak, you are prey, you can do nothing. The arrogance of the victors. In the halls of the Dominion, the attack was hailed as a spectacle. Feasts were held, toasts were made, and holoreels of human despair were played before roaring alien audiences. The Threx were ancient raiders, reveling in cruelty across star systems. To them, humanity was just the latest amusement. Across their empire, broadcasts echoed. The soft-skinned ones wail, their tears are endless, their grief feeds us. The galaxy watched and did nothing. Other species, cautious, calculating, nodded quietly, unwilling to stand against the Dominion. Humans, after all, were newcomers to the stars, a minor species with fragile fleets and naive ideals of peace. To most, Earth was a curiosity. To the Threx, Earth was a target. To the wider galaxy, Earth was irrelevant. When reports spread that the survivors of Harper's Reach had begged for mercy, the Dominion laughed harder. See how they crumble. Their sorrow is weakness. Their grief is our entertainment. Arrogance swelled into certainty. Humanity would do nothing. Humanity could do nothing. The silence before the storm. For weeks after Harper's Reach burned, Earth said nothing. No public statement, no threats, no movements. The galaxy misread this silence as submission. The Dominion declared it proof of victory. Merchants whispered that Earth was too civilized to retaliate, too fragile to act. But in that silence, something was moving. Deep in Earth's orbital yards, fleets that had been kept hidden were awakened. Dreadnoughts slept no longer. Shipyards lit with fire, hammering steel into warforms. Engines the size of skyscrapers roared to life. Old fleets, once considered myths, were brought out of black archives. Projects whispered of in military shadows, the Aegis Armada, the Iron Wings, the Silence Fleet, unfurled banners long kept folded. Earth did not speak, it prepared. In every military channel, a single phrase circulated, unspoken outside human command. Grief is fuel, rage is fire, vengeance is coming. The survivors of Harper's Reach were not treated as refugees. They were treated as witnesses, their grief transformed into a vow that no human would ever suffer so helplessly again. And when the fleets finally moved, the galaxy trembled. When Earth finally spoke, the first sign came not from guns but from words. Across Dominion space, every Threx communication channel flickered with static, then a voice. Calm, cold, human. You laughed at our grief, now hear our rage. On every frequency, every display, the face of a single human commander appeared, not screaming, not ranting, only speaking with terrifying calm. You took children, you burned homes, you called us weak. We will answer, and you will remember that answer for as long as your kind survives. Then the screens went dark, and the fleets arrived. The sky that burned with retaliation. The Dominion's first warning was the sudden disappearance of an entire patrol fleet. One moment, 12 warships cruised along the border. The next, silence, no wreckage, no distress signal, only emptiness. Then came the Aegis Armada. Over the Dominion capital's skis, sensors screamed as shadows blotted out the sun. Ships, not hundreds, not thousands, but tens of thousands, emerged from folded space. Sleek human dreadnoughts, bristling with weapons unseen in the galaxy before, deployed in formation so vast that planets trembled beneath their gravitational wake. The first volley was not aimed at ships. It was aimed at worlds. Planetary shields that had stood for centuries shattered like glass before focused beams. Cities burned in moments. Dominion generals screamed for counterattack and were silenced when their fleets met human fire. Human warships did not duel. They erased. Whole battle groups were reduced to expanding clouds of wreckage within minutes. Troop carriers descended like storms, their hulls black with armored divisions. Human soldiers, clad in exosuits glowing with power, hit Dominion soil like meteors. They did not come to negotiate. They came to break. Every step they took was vengeance made manifest. The Threx had laughed at human tears. Now they drowned in human fury. The weight of human ray. Dominion cities fell one after another. Their mighty fortresses, once thought impregnable, were torn open. Human fleets cut supply lines, shattered fleets, and razed strongholds. But Earth's wrath was not random. It was calculated. For every life lost on Harper's Reach, a Dominion world burned. For every child taken, an alien garrison was annihilated. Human soldiers carried banners marked with a single phrase. Harper's Reach remembers. They engraved it into walls, into ruins, into the stars themselves. A message not just to the Dominion, but to the galaxy. Humanity forgets nothing. Dominion commanders begged for peace. They tried to surrender, but Earth's fleets pressed on. Not until every Dominion fleet was ashes, every raider nest silenced, did the retaliation slow. And through it all, human soldiers spoke little. They did not jeer. They did not laugh. Their vengeance was quiet, relentless, absolute. The ashes of an empire. When at last the Threx Dominion collapsed, its territories in ruins, its leaders dead or fleeing, the galaxy stared in silence. The empire that had mocked, laughed, and feasted upon human grief was gone. The few survivors who crawled from the wreckage told stories of fleets that blotted out suns, of soldiers who moved like storms, of vengeance that did not stop until nothing remained of the Dominion but memory. One phrase spread through the whispers of survivors. Never provoke Earth again. Not because Earth was cruel, not because Earth was ruthless, but because Earth's patience was vast and its vengeance infinite. The lesson burned into the stars. In the centuries that followed, the ruins of the Dominion remained untouched. No species dared claim them. They became a warning, a monument to human retaliation. Other civilizations built shrines of fear around the phrase. They laughed at human grief, then they faced human rage. And across the galaxy, whenever arrogance began to rise, whenever another species considered striking at humanity, the warning was whispered again and again. Do not mistake silence for weakness. Do not mistake patience for fear. Do not mistake grief for surrender. For when Earth rises in rage, nothing survives. The stars above Yalara Colony burned with serene indifference when the attack